I just cannot believe that San Francisco had that approach. And then hearing Kyle Juszczyk after the game talking about, and this is the Harvard guy. He's like, I don't know the rules in overtime. Did y'all go over it? No. And I think a lot of people at home were confused at the end of the first overtime. We were like, hey, call a timeout, snap the ball. But it actually ended up being a possession thing, not a time thing.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, I remember, if I'm not mistaken, Carolina with Steve Smith back in the day won a double overtime game. I mean, it was. But then again, I was all over the rule changes. It's just because I sit here and I'm a rule change geek and competition committee type of, pay attention to that stuff. I knew that I was actually upset that if this game was going to end, the field might flip. And I was sitting in the end zone where the Chiefs eventually won. And I turned to a fan who was from Kansas City to my right. I'm like, hey, if your Chiefs are going to win, you better hope it's on this play right now, because it's going to go 99 yards in the other direction. I don't know if that really meant anything, that the players didn't know.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know either. I kind of wonder though,
because it does speak to preparation, though. I think your point, about getting people buttoned up, because Chris Jones did say afterwards that they talked about it in training camp, that if they were ever in this situation, that the Chiefs would give the ball to the other team first. The defense would have to go out there first, and then it would be up to Kansas City to match. And that if they had to match a touchdown, they were going to go for two. And wrap it up,
And honestly, I don't understand taking the ball first.
You don't?
No, I don't. Because number one, I think there's a relatively high probability, and it looked this way before they got the hold. I think it was on McDuffie. They were in 3rd and long. The way they were playing offensively. Now I understand if Shanahan had come out after the game and said, hey, our defense just got dog walked in a 2-minute. We don't want them on the field right now. They're gassed. But his reasoning was not that. So it didn't make a lot of sense to me, because if you go 3 and out there, you punt the ball, that's a short field for Mahomes, and all he has to do is kick a field goal, right? And so in that situation, I don't like that. I also don't like the fact that Mahomes has a defined objective where it's like, okay, I know what I have to do here. And you get 4 downs. And I know that people are like, 4-down territory, people are puckered up, they're tight, but I don't think Patrick Mahomes is. Right? And I think if you give him an extra down, and you give Andy Reid an extra down as a defense, you're like, how do we stop them? And I think getting right down to it and running that same return motion that gave the Eagles so much trouble last year in the playoffs, it was like both coordinators, and I didn't like some of Andy's game management decision-making. There was a Kelsey play he could have challenged, backed up. Now he didn't. And they got to the line, and then they called a timeout anyways, because they didn't know what they didn't like the look they were
right. And you might as well use that moment to go challenge, and you might get your timeout back, and you might get the first down.
That might be a half yard, and you don't have a timeout that you're down, and that almost really hurt them at the end of the game, because San Francisco, when they got the ball. But the whole thing is, both coordinators, when it was crunch time, had plays to win, whether it was McDuffie in that really exotic look on in regulation that, keeping them to kicking a field goal that let them in the door. It was like in a serial killer movie where you let the serial killer in the door. And that's what kicking field goals in those situations is doing. It's like at the end of regulation, and then Spags dialing it up and getting the free runner and Chris Jones in overtime. The minute they kick that field goal, you kind of know what time it is. And I thought both coordinators, including Wilkes, heating them up inexplicably in situations where they're going to have answers. All game it's been working. Just keep it on autopilot. Rush 4. There's no need to put your hands on the steering wheel here and take it over. I thought that was one of the biggest issues for most of the game for Mahomes, was they were kind of getting whooped up front.
No doubt.
And to hit the seams and the places that they can attack San Francisco, Mahomes likes to break the pocket or climb quickly. He likes to get deep or just catapult up and hit the seam. He couldn't work the middle of the field, I think, intermediately the way he wanted to, because he did not have those step-up lanes. So I thought the front four did a great job, but then Wilkes took it out of their hands.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.